trying to convey to people who don't seem to understand that this situation is different. Now, I did have an email from a parent who has a student at El Cerrito High School and also one at Caliber, and they didn't understand why one of their children had a beautiful campus with what's going to be a $21 million football stadium, while the other one was housed in the corner of a playground at another school. How could these kids be in the same district and have such inequitable facilities? And I think when you start to look at families who, as this woman so aptly put it, have a foot in each door, you begin to see how different this is for the kids who are in charter schools who don't have housing. Now, I've shared the district concern about the cost to renovating Caliber, or the Adams site rather. I have a couple of questions about that, in fact. If we were to be using Adams as, let's say, a swing site for Wilson, would we have to do, how would we do that given the seismic problems that we have at Adams?
We would, is it on? We would end up, we would need to put a temporary site on the Adams campus. So it would be portable. So,
and would the cost be the cost that you've described here in the meeting?
This is a different cost. This relates to preparing that campus for a new construction of a building, not necessarily a temporary site. And with regard to the Wilson and Grant swing site, we do not have that planned in our program until much later on when we go through our master planning process. So we haven't included those costs into our planning process. And this is very different, but I think that the proposal that we received from Caliber tonight is very different from what we are talking about as being the proposal on the presentation tonight. So those costs, I don't believe, would be applicable with your latest proposal.
Well, it sounds like with the latest proposal, there would be no cost to the district, if I'm understanding correctly.
We will bear all the costs. We just want
So there would be no money taken from the bond program for costs to the Adams site. Is that what you're saying?
All we want is the district to lease us the site. We will bear 100% of the costs of portables, of demolition, of renovation, of building a new building, and no cost to the district.
Well, my reservations have been really primarily in the area of finances, because we're in a time when we don't have a lot of money to do projects that aren't already on our plan. But to me, this is a game changer to have the school now willing to bear all of the costs, and then, as I understand it, we would be taking money in rent, in essence.
A nominal rent. We're basically saying if we're bearing all the costs, you're basically renting it just for a nominal amount, a few dollars a year.
So then the question would become, if it's still the district's property, how long would that lease agreement be in effect?
99 years, is what it says.
We propose 99 years. If we're going to spend tens of millions of dollars, we need to amortize that investment.
Thank you. Well, I think from the point of view of your report, which is fine, Ms. LeBlanc, you did a really nice job on the proposal or the summary of where we are with the facilities request. I think, though, that I see see it almost being written to a certain point of view, which troubles me a little bit, and that we need to really be objective. And I'll give an example of a place where I think we could do a little better. And that would be if we're going to say that in the future we need the Adams site as a swing site, then we should also be saying what the cost to the district would be on that. Because otherwise it sounds to me, and maybe other people don't have this reaction, but it sounds to me like we can already use it as a swing site for these schools that will need it. But for Adams, it would be, to have it be a caliber site would require, before we heard this new proposal, more costs. So I guess I just don't feel like we're comparing apples to apples in that sense. And I take very seriously our Prop 39 obligations, and I think that caliber is really presenting a solution that we should look very closely at. I was by Adams the other day, and it's really become quite an eyesore in the community. I don't know, I think meeting with neighborhood groups is going to be a part of anything we do, but to have the opportunity to improve that site and improve the neighborhood at no cost to the district, I think is one that is very attractive. It has to be very attractive, I would say, to the district as a whole. Ms. Cronenberg?
Are you finished with block?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Beller, from what I can see here, and this is just really first blush reading, are you proposing that the buildings that you build would be Field Act compliant?
I'm proposing they would be legal, they would meet all the education.
Legal for district children who are not charter school children?
I would really defer to whatever the building department is in terms of building a
Well,
legal facility
my-
for our students.
So there are two, I'll ask this one. There are two codes, right? There's a different standard for the charter school legal requirements.
They're not all that different. I mean, again, we'd be happy to sit down and iron out the details. For example, in Hilltop, where Steve Chamberlain is building 3 buildings, he said the difference between the two codes is minuscule. I'm sure that we could persuade the district that we're going to have a safe school that's going to meet all the appropriate standards. And I don't think that there'd be anything other than the safest possible building for our students. And it would be along the lines of what Steve Chamberlain is building. And in fact, Steve has said he's potentially interested in constructing the building.
I think one of the things that the district would need to make sure of is that in the event that the property, as improved, as it would be improved if the board does consider this, that in the event it does revert back to the district and the facilities back to the district for our own students, we would need to make sure that the structure complies with whatever requirements that we have through the state, so we would be able to utilize that property in the event that ever would occur.
Okay, so this is a new proposal, and I think it needs to be vetted by our attorneys, among other people, in terms of just the implications of a 99-year lease, which I don't believe our school board has entered into with any other anyone. I would want to see the legal ramifications of that, and really, I would want the proposal, before I can make any determination on it, to be vetted legally. So what I would like, Dr. Harder, is to put this over, for the board to receive a legal opinion on the details of the proposal, and then I think that we need to bring this to the full board to decide whether or not to support this proposal, and either which way, what we're going to do then in terms of caliber in the future and moving it into the facilities master plan if this proposal is not
I think I would echo that we, in particular, need to get more information about leasing.
Okay, so the agreement, that's